Hello everyone, this is the War Story vlog, and today we have a video many of you have been asking for. When exactly and precisely are you going to show what you had in that suitcase? Or when precisely will you show what you bought at the meetup? Or somewhere specifically at the auction and so on? I'll demonstrate it right now. Inside this particular cabinet there are various items that have been discovered, carefully collected over time, and eventually brought back. These, for over a year, work has been done carefully and meticulously on individual items. Now, I will open this box for you. So, let's start in order. The very first exhibit is indeed a bayonet called the PSS. It is one of the rarest police bayonets in existence and highly sought after. A conversion from a butcher's knife. It even has a stamp, the 15th year on the back of the handle, Simpson and Company stamp. The handle is beautifully decorated, indeed. Horn inlays, indeed. And here stands the police bird. This is one of the rarest police bayonets, and it comes in its complete original set with the original scabbard, because often they are sold with scabbards from the same butcher. From the bayonet to the Mauser 9805, it's mainly the narrow straight scabbard. Everything is as it should be. This bayonet is featured in Thomas Johnson's book, but it really deserves a separate review. Next bayonet. This is also police, but this is in fact police with the distinctive SS etching, actually, you see, with markings and symbols etched on it. The bayonet is in its original assembly, with authentic scabbard, leather insert, and in very good condition. Thomas Wittmann has a similar bayonet in his collection, and it holds a place of honor. The next item is an SS dagger from 1933, and it's not just any dagger. This is a dagger with a dedication from Himmler, an authentic dagger. It is 100% original. Karl Eichhorn. Everything is as it should be. I found it at a gathering in America. There are some drawbacks with the blade. It is worn and polished, but it is an authentic Himmler. This can be forgiven. Everything is priced accordingly. The discount was in decent condition. A very interesting textured item. It seems we will need a review about it as well. A separate shooter. The next dagger. This is also SS. He doesn't reshoot. The next dagger is also SS, 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 indeed. Also a 1933 model, not a chained one, manufacturer M729. What is notable about the motto is that it ends with an exclamation mark. The M33 dagger is in very good condition. In its original assembly, the blade is untouched. In its original polish, maker's mark on blade heel, the year 1940, and SS runes. The scabbard is in its original paint. Everything is as it should be from the factory. It is in very good condition and in its original assembly. This is valuable and important. The next knife. The seller, who had been holding on to it for an exceptionally long time indeed, to buy it at a reasonable price. Reasonable because often, for good things, they charge above the ceiling. It was absolutely impossible to ask for more, but here it is, finally, indeed, actually, in my hands. This is truly, indeed, definitely a postal protection dagger. A very rare find. This is an original collection, complete from start to finish. The carabiner chains on the scabbard, the paint, everything is in good condition. To avoid chips on the wooden handle, which is quite brittle, fragile, and delicate, and the blade is in its original immaculate, pristine polish, very interesting and unique. Some of the knives have a stamp on the underside of the crossguard, which are often used for identification or authentication purposes. DRP is a postal mark and usually has a 3 or 4 digit number, but here this element is definitely present. This is also very interesting. Let's move on. Railway Security Officer's dagger. This is also a very rare knife. It is interesting because it is fully assembled. The only thing missing here is the knot. There's a tag and a structure with a little piece of paper. The hanger is present. The hanger is really very valuable for this level. There are fewer hangers for knives than for daggers. It has been preserved. The blade is in perfect condition. The handle has no chips or cracks. Practically mint. Let's move on. Now, another couple of very striking, fascinating, and very interesting exhibits. This is a Tenno dagger, an officer's dagger from the Technical Emergency Service. A very interesting item in the sense that it has everything one could wish for. That is, the number is damaged, an early number 2245. It matches the number on the scabbard mouth. All the stamps are present. The blade itself is in very good condition. Everything is in its original polish, and that's how it is. Completely intact. There is some very minor flaking in places, but it is indeed very insignificant. Nothing has been cleaned. A worthy item. And the genuine hanger, this is also important and valuable, as I mentioned, for knives of this level. And there are hangers with maker's marks on the hardware. Some are without marks. Here is the top one with the mark of a German manufacturer. Assmann, here it is, as you can see, the stamp right here, and this buckle also has it indeed, and the top shelf is completed with a Hitler Youth leader as well. This is a senior officer's dagger from the Hitler Youth organization. It also comes with its original tag with a little bit more paper, because often these papers get lost or break off. Original leather on the scabbard, original handle. It is wooden inside and on top, a bit more. Wrapped carefully and securely in wire. The blade is almost entirely in perfect condition, such as I had to chase after this knife as well because they initially asked for a lot. But you have to be in the right place at the right time. It's also interesting that this is a Carl Eichhorn M766. Here is the RZM mark. And Eichhorn is a bit rarer. This is such concentrated pleasure. Moving on to the second shelf, let's start with the cup. The Luftwaffe cup. It is completely original. It was presented to Hauptmann Herman Danzer on September 1st, 1942, as a recognition of his dedicated service. It is definitely written here. This is actually one of the very few awards in Germany that was moving on, actually. 2 second model Luftwaffe daggers, 2 1937 model Luftwaffe daggers. One is made by Alcoso. It has characteristic scabbards with rounded edges. It's also in its original assembly. Everything is fine with it. The next one is by Eichhorn, Carl Eichhorn, another blade in very excellent condition. Nowadays these are indeed simple items, but finding them in incredibly good and pristine condition is truly rare. In good condition, you really have to hunt for them. Only 2 daggers at the meet. Managed to find them all intact. I was looking for gilded swastikas on the pommel at Eichhorn's, and I found them. But there wasn't a second one like it. Moving on. The topic of the Luftwaffe isn't over yet. Here is a strap cutter, an SMF strap cutter, in good condition. All the springs are intact without any cracks. It has a verification mark with a little bird. MF, stainless steel, with a stamp. And this item, which I saw in person and held in my hands for the first time, this is an item that many in the West have only heard about, and that's exactly what they write about on the forum. This is an English strap cutter. An English strap cutter. Here is the stamp. This is the famous George Iverson. And there's a beautifully and intricately drawn violin here. That's the story of this meticulously crafted strap cutter by hand. In England, a number of these knives were made after the Cretan airborne operation, when some German paratrooper equipment was captured on Crete. And so they made an almost exactly identical knife. Of course, it differs in every single detail, so it's a completely and utterly different item. But it's interesting, and it was released in a fairly small and limited batch. I will do more thorough and detailed research on this knife and try to make a comprehensive review specifically and exclusively about this particular strap cutter. Alright, let's move on. You saw this knife in the video from the trip to Germany that I really liked. I eventually bought it. It's in amazing condition. I managed to negotiate a bit. Thank God, because the price tag was quite high. But I am indeed very satisfied. I haven't seen anything comparable in terms of condition and completeness for a long time. The next knife is an RLB dagger, an air defense dagger, junior rank, marked Gustav Spitzer. The blade is in good condition. The scabbard has its original paint, original suspension loop, original leather. This is important. The plate has not been re-riveted, because sometimes when the leather was replaced, the rivets had to be removed, new leather inserted, and then re-riveted. It was done in a factory manner back then. Of course, this leather is worn out, but it is original. This is valuable because the knife's design predisposes this strap to breakage. It is always positioned on this kind of curve when the knife is closed and lying down. Therefore, it is advisable to store these items properly. Here it is, in a slightly open state, RLB dagger, leader, manufacturer Alcoso, in very good condition. Here is the inspection mark. The leather is genuine and authentic, almost no visible signs of wear, very good and extremely early high-quality nickel silver. I will also make a separate and detailed video about this knife. There is a very fascinating and intriguing detail regarding this dagger. SA dagger for sale, SA dagger with original hanger, original anodizing on the scabbard, practically in excellent mint condition, and with a dedication on the back. Everything is as it should be. Eichhorn, a small mark, shifted downwards. This is an original piece. This is very interesting. Many stories in a small item. The SA dagger, also completely in its original assembly, in very good condition. Hugo Linder, a very rare manufacturer of rare items. The blade is in its original and pristine polish. The handle is quite wide, an extremely interesting early knife. Next, removes order to this person is inscribed. He didn't completely remove it, probably because he needed to mark his achievements. It turns out that this is a moment when, for not a lot of money, you get more rem than if you bought a dagger with the inscription completely removed or with the surname completely removed. Everything about it is correct as well. A small squirrel shifted towards the bottom. A very good knife. I think many people would be interested in seeing it in a separate review. In order to achieve the desired outcome, it is essential that these elements are combined together and then eventually broadcast to the intended audience. Junior ranks carefully crafted machete, early crafted machete. The handle has a number. There is also a number on the mouth of the scabbard, which is Wusthof, the manufacturer, and it is quite rare indeed. And here is the motto, which is beautifully and elaborately forged with a great deal of care. Everything is extremely beautiful. Right here in heavy Italy, the scabbard is in its original finish and without any modifications. Next, a cutlass, Officer's Rad, Alcoso Solingen, in very good, excellent condition. There are some slightly visible scuffs and minor noticeable peeling of the coating, but this is definitely quite a very solid B-, and the minus is only because of some extremely minor defects. The blade is almost in perfect condition, deep etching, clear, contrasting, beautiful. The scabbard is straight, without any interventions. It came with this hanger, such as, for instance, hangers generally always tend to vary. And as usual, it's interesting when an item has stamps. Here we see the Asman stamp on the frame and the Asman stamp on the clasp. Moreover, the clasp has these oak leaves. This is also not quite standard leather. It's thick, but it has retained all its elasticity. Let's move on. An ordinary non-combat bayonet, but it's not. This non-combat bayonet has etching. It's an infantry etching, an infantry motif. This top emblem does not specifically replicate the Imperial Eagle. It is actually designed as 2 rifles and a helmet against the background of a wreath. This is an infantry emblem from the Carl Eichhorn catalogue, a piece of historical significance. Peter Colt Amberg, the noted distributor, this is the distributor's mark. And a special bayonet with etching, a bayonet double-sided etched. Infantry Regiment 41 here, meaning the 41st Infantry Regiment, the 1st Infantry Regiment, Amberg. 1st Infantry Regiment, Bayerische Ostmark, this is the eastern part of Bavaria. The bayonet is complete and in excellent condition. And this is a well-known etching motif. Specifically, this is the 41st Regiment. The original knot and the manufacturer's mark are on the hanger. Karl Henkel on the back of the hanger. Again, the mark. This is interesting. The next item is a DLV pilot's dagger. The emblem indicating affiliation with the DLV is on the scabbard's throat. The manufacturer is Helbig. The scabbard and handle are in native leather. The knife itself is made of nickel silver. There is a letter K on the end, just as taught. The enamel on the swastikas is not chipped. The blade has not been polished or ground, but that's just a detail. The main thing is that the blade itself is intact. And I will conclude this review with this bayonet. This is a ceremonial and historical bayonet for a Mauser rifle. The scabbard is straight, with no issues and well preserved. The hanger is original. The most interesting part is here. The most interesting part is in the etching. This is the 2nd Z Battalion, Imperial. Here is an incredibly detailed and interesting etching. There are many various scenes on a very small area. So there's a steamboat here, an eagle over there, and the inscription itself. Next comes the floral ornament. Here is a sailing ship, cannons, an anchor, a crown, banners, and here is a globe, some oars, and reinforcement bars. Manufacturer WKC. The bayonet is completely in its original assembly. It's genuinely interesting indeed. I've truly seen a few people selling it for astronomical prices. Managed to find it. It seems like the person just didn't pay attention to the whole story. That's why Tom got it for a really good price. It happens, of course. It really does. That concludes this quick, detailed, thorough, and comprehensive overview of the various finds. If you are interested in any of the items, please do not hesitate to let me know. I will just adapt and carefully review these items first, making sure to consider all aspects and details thoroughly and in detail. So stay with us, subscribe to our channel, and leave comments. Have a great day, everyone. See you